It is October 15th. I am Graham Mogsman, and this is Game on Edmonton, your daily dose. Look at the Edmonton Oilers in 10 minutes or less to get you set on your day. Now, a lot to dive into in oil country as we get set for the Oilers to take on the Flyers of Philadelphia. And Matvei Michkov's first trip to little old Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. That's sure to be a very, very fun game this evening. Before we dive into all that, including a story about how an Edmonton Oiler has been getting pretty cozy with some Philadelphia Flyers players, I want to tell you a little bit about Hyperdrive Hockey. It's this brand new show hosted by Maxime Van Hoot and Daphne Malbouf, and it is covering hockey in a silly way, in a very smart way, and in a way that's not afraid to talk about like really important issues that you and I both know are really big in the world of hockey. They have brand new episodes coming out every Tuesday as well as Friday, and you can find those over on our Network Hub channel on YouTube. That's Game Over Network, or you can also find it at thegameovernetwork.com or wherever you happen to be listening to podcasts. But Vasily Podkolzin, who I thought has been one of the kind of nice quiet surprises for the Edmonton Oilers this year, he's had a couple moments with giveaways that I haven't loved, but when he has his head on straight and he's playing, you hate those big hockey terms like good north-south hockey, but when he's doing that, he's pretty good. I think the goals for him are going to start to come from the bottom six space. He actually spent his Thanksgiving with a couple of players from the Philadelphia Flyers who are all Russians as well. Guys like Ivan Fedotov as well as Matvei Michkov. They got together at Podkolzin's place and had a little Canadian Thanksgiving, which is always really cool and nice to see, especially for players whose home is on the other side of the planet. Finding that camaraderie is really important. So I really hope that Pod had a good Thanksgiving, and I hope you did as well, if that's something you chose to celebrate over this long weekend. And some celebrating and food distraction and carb overloading was needed, as the Oilers are now sitting 0-3 going into an incredibly important game against the Flyers tonight. Now, it's not as dire as reading an article would make you think it is, because the Oilers are very much in a place where the players know they haven't been good enough. They know they haven't practiced well enough. They know they coasted through the preseason, and they're aware of this stuff. But when you read it on just like a quote on Twitter, it comes across as super doom and gloomy. But when you listen to the words behind it and like the body language and the tone, how we all love listening to body language, the players are definitely not as worried as some in the fan base are. And I think ultimately they'll be okay. I'd be absolutely flabbergasted if they don't beat the Flyers tonight. This Oilers team has had an inability to score. Their shooting percentage is some obscene number, like 3%, which absolutely isn't going to last. The Flyers, while they do play that John Tortorella, we're going to take our lunch pail type of game, they don't have the defense, they don't have the goaltending to keep up with this team. So even though the Oilers' shooting percentage is just comically bad, I'm fairly certain that this team is going to win and hopefully can avoid some of the pitfalls that they've run into by letting weird reffing calls kind of go against them. And that really felt like that was the problem in the game against Calgary, not the reffing calls themselves. Because when you go out and look at the rule and what the standard the NHL has set with feet in the crease and having goals called back, it's frustrating. The rule is stupid. This is going to cause just more kind of Brett Hall foot in the crease stuff that we thought we were done for. But alas, in this era of the NHL, we are not. Elliot Friedman on the 32 Thought podcast had a really interesting kind of perspective on this one, in that it looks soft. It is soft. It makes the league look bad when a player bumps a goalie, and then that goalie, Dan Vladar, has 17 years to get reset to the puck. It looks so bad. However, Corey Perry's heels were in the crease, which is so dumb and stupid, especially when the goalie has time to reset the puck a little bit. I'm not saying we need to have like a free-for-all on goalies here. That'd be insane. But when you have a standard set by the NHL, who is a bad league, who is not great at managing their sports and rules, who often feels more concerned about the optics rather than the actual gameplay, it can be a lot to kind of deal with. Now, my big hope is that this is something that's going to looked at the rules, and you also need to take time to work on video review, because that video review was too long. It absolutely killed the flow of the game and didn't add anything and took points off the board. So if you were in a review situation, whether it's a goaltender interference, whether it's an offside, whatever it is that you can review, if it takes you more than 30 seconds to know what the right call was, like if you have to parse it down to the individual frame and really just like get right in there to see what the play was, that's not good. It's not good. Video review should be there to overturn egregious mistakes. And if it's taking you 90 seconds, 2 minutes to figure out what the call is, maybe it's not worth the time in slowing a game down. Does that mean we're going to get some mistaken calls? Yeah, absolutely. Does it mean that the spirit of the game will probably be held up in a more substantial way? Absolutely. Now, Chris Knobloch put the Oilers into an absolute blender a couple of times as that game went on. But here's the lines are looking like going into Philadelphia tonight. These courtesy of Daily Faceoff. And of course, they can change after morning skate. We have Connor McDavid with Zach Hyman and old Jeffrey Skinner. Arvidsson, Nuge, and Dry. Podkolzin, Henrique, and Connor Brown. Interesting to move up Podkolzin here. I think I really do like it, because Connor Brown is playing like we saw Connor Brown in the playoffs play, like very straightforward, very go to the net. And Pod has a pretty nice shot when he wants to use it. So I'm excited to see how that could work with Adam Henrique. And then you have Matthias Janmark, Corey Perry, and Derek Ryan. On defense, you have Evan Bouchard, Ekholm, Travis Dermott, Darnell Nurse, not loving that at all, as well as Brett Kulak and Torrey Stetcher. I think in this case, you want to bring in Ty Emberson and match him with Brett Kulak, who can move the puck really nicely, and then put Darnell Nurse and Torrey Stetcher together, because Darnell is always better when he has someone that can move the puck with him pretty well. That's why you saw some of Darnell's best play over the years has been with guys like Evan Bouchard, and, well, I mean, not a whole lot else. Darnell Nurse is such an odd player for so many reasons, but looking like as well, Stuart Skinner will be going into that particular game. I haven't really loved what we see with Travis Dermott so far. I think if you really want Ty Emerson to be the guy, you got to ride this one out. Oilers got to put some wins together here, and you don't want to have to make a panic trade. Although, hey, you look at Toronto, a lot of rumors coming out of TO about Timothy Liljegren maybe not being a fit anymore, because he's currently on the outs, but he's a good-sized, right-handed shot defenseman. Might be worth looking at, but it's all about fitting everything in under the salary cap, which is kind of tough to do, as he currently sits at, according to our pals over at Puckpedia, $2.8 million. So you got to sign something to kind of keep that going, although the Oilers do have some room to play in with Evander Kane in LTIR. So that'll do it for today's episode of Game on Edmonton here on the Game Over Network. If you want to join us immediately after the game against the Flyers tonight, we'll have a show diving into hopefully a win. Because, oh boy, these losses are starting to get pretty gross as the Oilers take on the Philadelphia Flyers tonight from Rogers Place. Game time for that one is I have to Google, because my brain, after all the family time, is soup. That's a late game, 8 o'clock tonight. Oilers and Flyers from Rogers. You are up to date, my friend, on everything to do with the Edmonton Oilers, and it was all under 10 minutes or less. Have yourself an awesome day. I'm Graham Moseman. We'll talk to you tomorrow here on Game on Edmonton.